So we just really want to get a firm grip on where we're going to drop into that cycle and how we get ourselves moving on to the next step. So that's what we're going to finish up this lesson practicing, making sure that we are confident with that. All right, so we want to create a polynomial. So that's where we want to end up. But we're not going to start there. So let me give you what you're going to start with. Create a polynomial given a lead coefficient of -4 and zeros of 3 and 1 minus 2i. So your job is to create a polynomial. You have now been given your lead coefficient. You've been given your zeros, which means where on the cycle are you starting? We're not going to start with but we're starting actually back right here. Okay? We're starting here because we're kind of somewhere in between. Because right in here is where you get your zeros. Okay? Your zeros come right in that spot. So we are given zeros, we're like right before the factorization. Okay, we're right before factorization. All right, how many factors will I have? No. Just because the lead coefficient is -4 doesn't mean I'm going to have 4 factors. Okay, how many factors am I going to have? I'm going to have 3. Okay, so count them up. The factors are going to come from the zeros. I got a factor there. That'll be x minus 3. Okay, I've got another factor from the next zero. That's going to be x minus 1 minus 2i. Okay, but you said 3, so where's the third factor coming from? Okay, it is the conjugate, so that'll be x minus 1. You don't change the minus 1. Conjugate is the I part changes, so it would be plus 2i. So we're starting with the factorization. Now we want to move from factorization to superfoil, and from superfoil then I will be at my polynomial. So where do you start with your superfoil? I would never ever recommend to someone that you superfoil here. Okay, that would be it's just a messy idea. Okay, it's so much cleaner and things all drop out if you would start your superfoil with the pieces that have I. Okay, so that's going to be my strong recommendation to you is start your superfoil here. Always superfoil the I parts together. So superfoil requires you to do 3 things at a time. So you're going to take your x and you're going to do it 3 ways. That's going to give me x squared minus x plus 2ix. That's the order that you write it in. The number goes first, the I goes in the middle, and x goes at the end. So you do it in sets of 3. The next superfoil is going to be the minus 1. You'll do that in sets of 3. 1, 2, 3. That'll give you negative x plus 1 minus 2i. And then your last set of 3 comes from the negative 2i, and that will need to go 3 times. So we will end up with negative 2ix plus 2i minus 4i squared. If you do superfoil correctly, there should be no i's left. All of the i's should cancel all of each other out. Okay, if you end up with any i's left, it means something wasn't right in your superfoil, so erase it and start over. So let's look at what we've got. We've got an I here. It's a 2ix. We also have a little farther back a negative 2ix. So those 2 things cancel each other out. Where else do I have i's? Well, I have a negative 2i that showed up, but a little farther back I have a positive 2i. Those 2 things cancel each other out. And then I also have an I at the very end in the form of an I squared. It's not going to cancel out, but what will that I squared turn into? Okay, I squared will make the negative 4 into a positive 4. So what I have got left is an x squared minus x plus 1 plus 4. That's what I'm left with. So overall, it is x squared minus 2x plus 5. Now I'm not done with my polynomial, because I still have to superfoil the x minus 3. But that's a lot shorter. So I can superfoil again in sets of 3. So I'll take my x. That'll give me x to the third minus 2x to the second plus 5x. Okay, and another set of 3. Minus 3x squared minus 2x and minus 5. That'll give me negative 3x squared plus 6x minus 15. So I group all of those things together. So I end up with x cubed minus 5x to the second plus 11x minus 15. Now, does this have a lead coefficient of negative 4?
Yeah, no, it doesn't. It's supposed to.
Okay, it's supposed to have a lead coefficient of negative 4. So the last thing you need to do is take your polynomial and distribute a negative 4 into the entire polynomial, which will give you a polynomial that starts out with negative 4x cubed and then plus 20x squared minus 44x plus 60. And now you have a polynomial, which is when you stop, you started with zeros, you turned them into factors, you turned the factors into superfoil, and you ended up with a polynomial that had the right coefficient at the beginning. You could have. Yep. Yep. Okay, so one more, and then we're done. There's only a two example day. All right, find factorization for 2x to the fourth minus 10x to the third plus 2x squared minus 6x plus 12. All right, find the factorization for that. So now we're starting with a polynomial, and we want to work our way through the cycle, through synthetic division, through quadratic formula, and end up with our factorization. We know that our factorization answer, I can give you points if you put the right number of factors down, which is how many? 4. Okay, so I can give you points for that. I can give you points for putting down the lead coefficient, which is supposed to be what? 2, so a 2 goes out front. I can give you points for setting up the next step being synthetic division with 2 and negative 10 and 2 and negative 6 and 12. I can give you points for knowing that there's going to be another synthetic division to do. That's about all the points I could give you without you doing really very much work. After that, you're going to need to get the synthetic division process started. How? You're going to have to graph it. Okay, you're going to have to graph it and find a rational number that you can start the synthetic process with. Okay?